All right. Everyone, thank you for taking some time out of your day to tune in and watch this pre-recorded video that we have that talks a little bit more about our King's Hammer programming. My name is Lindsay Basalyga. I am the current Executive Director of Warren County Soccer Academy, and my title will actually be changing as we turn over to King's Hammer North here in a couple weeks, and I will be the Director of Coaching for our Academy group. On this call as well, we have our new Premier DOC, Premier Program DOC, Wil Cagle. So Wil, I don't know if you want to hop on so everybody can see your face.
Am I not on?
Oh, I thought you only popped up when you speak. I don't know how the video recording works.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess we can check that. But anyway, hopefully you guys can all see me. Again, as Lindsay said, my name is Wil Cagle, and I am currently serving as the Education Division Director for King's Hammer Soccer Club. And as Lindsay said, I will also now be stepping in as the King's Hammer North Premier Director. Looking forward to working with all of you.
Awesome, thanks, Wil. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of tag team through our programming, see if we can shed a little bit more light as some of our programming and structure is changing for Warren County Soccer Academy. I know, and hopefully we're gonna have some families from outside the club who will be viewing this video as well. So again, hopefully we can shed some light, answer some questions, and continue to guide you through this process. So to start, we are on the website for King's Hammer, and I just want to show you that if you go under programs here, this is where you can find the information for our Academy North program, which is our top level programming. And then if you were looking for information for the North Premier program, it's just down here below the Academy Bluegrass. So there are two separate kind of websites within kingshammer.com that will guide you to the specific programming that you're looking for, specifically with registration as well. Over on the right-hand side of the website is our 2021-22 program booklet, and this is what we're going to work through with you today on this video. So to start, we operate from a place of shared values. Even though our club is growing in size, having a central program, a north program, south program, and King's Hammer even stretches down into the Kentucky area. The one thing that is really going to bind us all together is our shared core values. Those values are respect, leadership, passion, integrity, and creativity. And these are the values that our leadership, our directors of coaching, our coaches within the club, our players are all operating from. Wil, do you want to dive into anything specifically with our core values?
So I do want to just extend that also, our parents, we are going to be leaning on them as leaders in their family as well, and want these to be, core for them also. And just, if you've been on the Playmetrics system, and you will have seen that every month we're kind of focusing on one of these, and that will continue, where we try to dive into one of the core values every month and provide some insight, some opportunities for dialogue, and potentially, where appropriate, some actions, some activities that our membership can share to kind of reinforce what we're looking for as a club, and as Lindsay said, what is going to tie us all together regardless of our geographic location.
Exactly. So yeah, again, shared values are what we're going to lean into through all of our decision making, and hoping to also instill these things within our players as they continue to grow as not only players but people as well. this is a part of Kings Hammer's history. And for us up in the north, hopefully we are adding to some of these numbers as well. Winning a national title, national runner-up, regional champs, state cup champions, and coaches of the year. So we're definitely joining a club that has a rich history, and hopefully we'll continue to create our own history as Kings Hammer North. These are some of our partnerships that we have and resources that are extremely valuable to our club. As Wil mentioned, the Play Metric system, which Warren County families have already navigated through over the last couple months. This is a fantastic resource that keeps us all on schedule and understanding what's going on through communication, game schedules, practice schedules. It's a great resource for our coaches as well. It allows them to plan sessions, know where we are in our curriculum. So a great resource for our families and coaches. We have the Techni app, which everyone in Warren County is used to having. We had that last fall, and that resource will continue for all of our members. And then the Soccer Parent Resource Center. So Wil, I don't know if you want to talk just briefly about this as well, because I know this is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. The Soccer Parent Resource is a big part of the education division, which I oversee for the club. And again, it's something that is kind of two-pronged. We utilize it for the monthly parent outreach, sometimes for the monthly coach outreach, just trying to provide some resources, some ideas on issues like sideline behavior, like this month's dealing with stress tryout stress. Let's try it a third time. But it also provides every member access to a full library of resources that they can click on at the Soccer Parent Resource Library to just, get themselves some reminders. And the nice thing is it ties in really greatly with our core values. And so they feature webinars, there's podcasts, and there's great articles and insight into just an array of issues that pertain to trying to improve the environment for each and every player to participate in.
Awesome, thank you. And to Wil's point, as we think about player development and holistic player development, we are all part of that equation. So players, coaches, and parents. And for us to create that environment, we believe as a club that we got to provide education and resources. And then also our Techni app, this is just the website. Obviously this comes on a phone. It's an app that's a great at-home app for players to utilize throughout the winter months. And then, oops, I of course went to the wrong screen. There we go. We are moving to Nike. So we are going to be a Nike club. Sports recruits are great for our college-bound athletes. So that's a resource that once players hit their freshman year of high school, we'll be able to utilize, and we'll continue to support Soccer Village, a local business that will continue to get outfitted through. So just a little glimpse into our partnerships. So this is our developmental pathway for the club, and it starts at the grassroots level with the Little Lions. So this is what we currently call our Juniors Academy. It will transfer into the Little Lions program, which is a club-based program and a school-based program, and more information will be coming out later in May, early this summer. It is a 6-week program that is in the fall and also in the spring. And yeah, just a great kind of introductory resource and place for our youngest players within the community. Next would be our classic level, which we're not even going to dive into. That is not a level or a program that we are starting in 2021. It's more of a parent-based coach program. And again, we're not starting that in 2021. We are starting our Premier program, which focuses on club development, and that is what will oversee the program and the coaches within our Premier program. Next is the Academy program, which is elite development, and that is programming that I'm going to oversee and overseeing the coaches in that program. And then above that will be our U23s, our women's and men's OVPL. And then at the top of this pyramid on the men's side is the USL League 2. And this is just a great feeder system and a true pathway within the club. So Will, do you want to touch on this piece at all before we move on?
Yeah, Linz, thank you. So I think what is nice about this, and I think the attraction to the way that this is set up, is that it really does provide an appropriate placement for every player at every level. So serving you from 4 years old all the way to under 23, and providing that opportunity for players who need a bigger challenge, who want more pointed and more focused development, or serving players who maybe have a lot of things going on and they don't want soccer to be their primary focus, but they still want to play and they want to enjoy it. They want to compete, but maybe at a little bit less challenging level. So the way that the club is set up, you can go all the way through and never really have to leave the club in order to find the right spot for your son or daughter.
Great point, Will. And the other piece that we'll touch upon in a few minutes is just operating through a shared curriculum, which supports all of these different developmental levels. And then the other piece as well is providing a price point that supports the programming as well. So this is just kind of a map so you can see where we are within the King's Hammer structure. As I mentioned, programming goes all the way down into the Lexington area with the Academy Bluegrass program. We're all the way up north. So our North program would start with Little Lions and the Premier level, which starts at U8 and goes all the way through U18. Once we hit U11, we then offer the Academy North program. And that program is bringing together players from our North program, as well as the King's Hammer Sycamore program. From there, within the Academy North, we start bringing some of our higher performing players into an environment where they are blending together with players from Academy South and even perhaps Academy Bluegrass in either the UCLA. Into the ECNL or the USLA.
Which is the Academy, the USL Academy, which is for the boys. And Linz, I'm just glad it wasn't just me. So now we've both had it. So currently the ECNL would be the top level for that, as Linz said, the top elite female athlete in the club. And then the USL Academy program would be something that would provide an additional challenge and development for our elite boys athletes in the club.
Thank you. There's too many letters. All right. So again, as you can see, there is a pathway that the whole King's Hammer organization is providing, and it is formulated to start bringing some of those best players together while also playing great local options for those players who are working towards the Academy or working towards USLA or ECNL. And again, maybe just wanting to play locally as well. That's Kentucky. All right, so from here, program descriptions. So I'm gonna let Will take over, as all of our programming starts at the Premier level, as we said, with U8 and then the Little Lions at U4. So Will, if you wanna kind of guide us through this programming, tell me when you want.
Can you go ahead and click on it, and we'll bring the Premier screen up.
All right, so here it starts with our identity as a club.
Okay, so, and again, I just want to stress, as Lindsay has said a couple of times now, one of the keys to the continued growth and development at King's Hammer is really focusing on the growth and development of every player from the very beginning with the Little Lions all the way through to the OVPL and the USL 2 program, is that there is thought and planning given to the development of all of those kids all the way through. So starting with the 5v5, so our youngest U7, U8, so just past little lines, really just focusing on the ball. And so there's core focus for each group, suggested formations, although again, as with everything, there's flexibility in ensuring that the programming really serves the player and their continued development. So U9s through U10s, learning to learn. It's a critical age. Too often we see players who get to U12, U14, even U17, who never got the foundation on how to grow, how to develop, and how to train successfully while still having fun. And so U9, U10, the focus really is on teaching the kids how to learn and how to practice with purpose. And then continuing that through 11s to 12, as they start to get from 7v7, adding more players, 9v9, so continuing their foundation work while still remaining true to the ball and trying to provide them growth in their comfort so that they can continue to be successful in their development. Then we get to the 11v11s, starting up at the U13s, and now the focus becomes a little bit more on how to succeed. Right, those things that you need to be able to challenge yourself and your teammates with to continue to apply all the foundation elements that you learned at the younger age groups into team success. And then continuing that on the 15s to 19s, where especially for our top teams, so certainly those that are moving into the academy with Lindsay, learning to win, because there are some myths and some miscommunication on, well, is winning bad? No, winning is not bad. And frankly, even when you're not focusing on it, every kid comes out to a game, any game, wanting to win. But it's, becomes more critical the older that they get, that they understand how to win and the focus that is needed in order to apply all those elements, again, that they've learned throughout the program in the last 12 years of their career within the Kings Soccer Club, that they're able to apply that. And then obviously the final goal is the pro development, where the focus is on winning. So the USL, the OVPL, and those things where they've gotten through the youth ages and into the under 23s. All right, Linz.
And actually, Will, I just want to hop in because I think this is really important that everyone understands. We don't want to skip moments of development. When we start skipping moments of development, and players start getting older and move towards 11v11, if they don't have the technical aptitudes, they don't understand the game and decision-making, when to pass, when to dribble, what do I do when I lose the ball? How do I defend in this area of the field? What skill set can I use to solve a problem? If we skip those moments early in development and we only focus on winning a game, by the time they actually get to the 11v11 game model, where there's 22 players on the ball or on the field sharing one soccer ball, a player who doesn't have the skill sets, doesn't necessarily have the confidence, and doesn't have the solutions will ultimately end up dropping out of the game. And we've lost a player in the sport because we have skipped the developmental process. So again, I just want to stress this as a very important piece of who we are and the direction that we're going, because we are focusing on development. We want players to have success at whatever the highest level may be for them. Maybe that is just enjoying and absolutely loving the game of soccer. Maybe it is making their high school soccer team. Maybe it is going on and playing college soccer or even pro soccer. And who knows, we may have players who enter our system who one day could be representing the US on a national team. So we want to really make sure, again, that we are focusing on the development of every single player in this club so they can have success for whatever that means for them within the sport. Next slide.
All right, so this slide just provides some of the foundation principles that we feel are, important to our style and the direction that we want to guide our players. So as you can see, it's a evolving circle, taking you through the 4 moments of the game. So attacking, where we really want our players to feel comfortable in dominating the game. And again, some of these things may be recognizable and understandable to some, maybe not to all if you're not real familiar with the game, but these are some of the things that we want the players to take a look at, right? Taking risks more as we move up the field, less in the back, right? Creating angles. We talk about triangles and diamonds frequently in training sessions, and aiming to create goes back to, right, one of our core values: be creative. And whether it's on the field or off, we want our players to have a creative mind, and making sure that we're building, right? So playing from the back, and trying to be mindful of keeping the ball, right? We don't want to give it away easily. So from there, you would transition. We're going to lose the ball. Every team does eventually, right? So then being aware of, okay, what are we doing and how are we preparing ourselves to defend it? So having an immediate reaction, that we're not taking a pause, that we're not that player who loses the ball and then just stops play before they have to be reminded to move on. So making sure that we're pressuring the ball, being and trying to anticipate, well, where are they going to go next? Are they going to dribble? Are they going to pass? What can I take away from them? And being sure that we recover and regroup. And as we get through the ages, as the previous slide showed, the focus is going to be on 1v1, and then 2v2 or 3v3, and then 4s and 5s, until ultimately when you get to the 11v11, where, as Lindsay said, you're really having to work to recover, regroup, and do all these things as a team in a larger block. Then defending. So we try to impose ourselves rather than reacting to the opposition, to the player with the ball. We're trying to force them into decisions that are going to benefit us and our ability to, 1, keep them from going towards our goal, and 2, winning the ball back. So making sure that we understand pressure and cover and balance, 3 critical defending terms, not only in our principles, but in general principles of soccer. Defending as a unit, making sure that we're compact in both directions, and then trying to make them play predictably so that we can get in position to get the ball back. And then obviously, as we're winning it back, we're transitioning back into the attack. And so we want to do that intelligently, right? Smart reaction, making sure that we're connecting the first pass. Time and time again, you'll watch games where you see players work so hard to get the ball back, and then immediately they're making a bad choice, a bad decision, and they've given the ball back again. And then either they or their teammates have been put into jeopardy again. So can we get our players to be intelligent about that first decision? Trying to play forward and exploit the other team. As they were attacking, they lose maybe their shape or their intent and focus, and now all of a sudden they have to defend. And can we be quick enough in our decisions and in our technical applications to get behind them before they're able to regroup? And then if they've shown the speed and the awareness to regroup, can we maintain possession and be, again, really intelligent and mindful of our decisions? So, and then we just continue that all over again.
So I just, again, want to add in this piece, every positional role on the field has these moments of a game. The goalkeeper, all the way up to the number 9, the forward. And it's our job as coaches to help players understand the different moments of the game, what that looks like from different positional roles. A number 2, an outside back, is just as much of an attacking player as a number 9. A number 9 on a forward is going to defend just as much as an outside back number 3. And again, it's our job as coaches to help players understand all of these different moments of the game.
And if I can, Lindsay, again, that goes back to one of the things that is critical and of core development to the club is ensuring that that type of language and understanding is consistent throughout not only our players, but all of our coaches, and then from program to program, that these same principles and that idea that attacking and defending are not positions, they're moments. There's something that all of us are doing when we're on the field, regardless of our position, that those things are just as valued and just as supported and taught in North as they are in South, as they are in Bluegrass, so that it's a very consistent pattern and style of play that we're trying to teach our players. So the coaches will be supported in that. That's some of the education that the club will be providing for them.
And to your point, Will, that is the modern game. You know, the modern game is moments of the game, not positional.
Right.
You know, the modern game has our number 9s working just as hard defensively as a center back. It's just in a different area of the field. And Rose Lavelle, who everybody knows, Rose Lavelle is one of the best players in the world. She plays an attacking position, and she is one of the best defenders on the women's national team. So it's no longer, I'm just good at one moment of the game. We're developing players to be, you know, be able to impact all 4 moments of the game. All right, next up is the Center of Excellence, which is part of our premier programming.
Right, and I mentioned previously the importance of that foundation age group, right? So the U8s through U12s, and Lindsay, you know, also highlighted how critical their development and the focus that we provide for those younger players when they're in that learning stage. So one of the things that King's is putting together, this is brand new throughout the King's platform, is the Center of Excellence, with that idea that we need to provide even more programming for those kids in that key learning age group, where they can focus on their comfort on the ball. So a lot of technical development, as it says, is skill acquisition, so technique under pressure, and also then provide them the opportunity to continue to learn the philosophies of the phases of play and the moments, and raise their ability to make good decisions as they you know, age out of this foundation level and into the next stage of their development.
So I'll piggyback on that. Again, the Center of Excellence is a 3rd night optional training session. Location is kind of TBD right now, but again, this is an optional night of training that is included in the premier level programming.
Right, and as Lindsay said, so the evening and the locations have not been established yet, and as soon as we have that information, obviously we will be passing it along in every format that we can, so that parents have that update and can, you know, make a decision on whether it's you know, applicable for them to be engaged in it.
All right, so staffing should actually be coming out today, right now. It's Monday the 17th, and all of our staffing should be announced. There are some areas where we are still looking to fill staffing, and that will be announced in the program or the release of the coaches as well. So we've already kind of discussed the Little Lions program, which is moving to or away from our juniors academy. It's for U4 to U8. It's in-house and also school-based. More information on that will be coming out in the next few weeks.
I do want to say, Lance, because we've had Little Lions in the Northern Kentucky area for a while now, and it is just a great program. Michelle Kimura oversees, she is the director of the Little Lions program, and she and her staff do a tremendous job. It's lots of fun, but it is very curriculum driven, just like all of the things that we are trying to develop with King's Hammer Soccer Club. And so I think that those who have younger members in their family, if you sign them up, I think you're really going to be excited about what they can bring to their development.
Great.
All right.
The meat of the Premier program.
So a little more detail about the Premier program. Again, as Lindsay mentioned at the start, so this is a new format for those who are used to the prior Warren County Soccer Academy setup. So there is a club paid professional coach that would be, interviewed and vetted and hired by Lindsay or myself. Costs do cover player registration and insurance, one league fee in each season, and it has the Greater Cincinnati and the Cardinal Premier League listed, but other leagues can be looked at based on the team's level of play and with approval by the director. Referee fees are covered, training and game field expenses, and we're going to take a look at some of the training and game field facilities in just a moment. Coach expenses, so for travel costs, hotel costs for some of the tournaments and things. 3 or 4 tournaments, and again, for the Premier programming, the coaches and the parent administrators would work with me to take a look at which tournaments are appropriate, again, based on the team's level of play, coaches' availability, and other factors. The in-season Center of Excellence, we talked about that for the U8s for U12s. Again, that would be a part of the Premier program, 1 time a week as an additional night for those kids to continue their skill development. Playmetrics, Lindsay and I both talked about that. It's tremendous club communication platform, and we are going to push all of the teams and of course the family members on using that Playmetrics application, the Techni app. Again, Lindsay has talked about that. I will say that as a current coach, rainout nights, it's a great way to keep the kids doing some really appropriate applications. Techni does a great job. It's phone based, so all of the kids can have access to it wherever they are. And it's also great winter or summer, a nice way for the kids to kind of stay creative in how they do it, whether it's 10 minutes or 30 minutes, they can jump in and get some touches in. Sports recruits, that's also something that is overseen by the education division. So I'm supervising that. Again, as Lindsay mentioned, it's a program for our high school age players. All of them will get access to that the summer leading into their U15 or freshman year. And it's nice. It is sports recruits. So it is providing a lot of framework and guidance and expertise for that athlete who is looking to be recruited to participate in soccer in college. However, I will say that a lot of the things that they offer are tremendous resources for any player or any high school student who is looking to go on to college. It does not just have to be utilized by a player looking to play in college. It's tremendous. The Healthy Roster app, there's going to be more coming out on that. It's again, it's a hospital partnership and collaboration that we have that can provide some immediate assistance to athletes who may have suffered an injury and other things. When we have more information available on that, we'll get that out. And then finally, kind of an added bonus is that every member who registers and gets placed on a team will get 2 season tickets to the Kingshammer Football Club's USL2, so an opportunity to watch players live playing and getting a chance to just see the application of everything that all of our kids are learning through our club curriculum and through our training sessions, kind of put into place in a great format. So.
All right, thanks, Will. Can you just touch upon how many days a week these teams train, and then also kind of summarize the value of the program as a whole? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure, Linz. So the Premier group will train, so it's U8 through U19, 2 days per week in season. And that setup and the Premier program overall is intended to provide a really value-oriented price point and the opportunity for players who want to compete, who want to be able to challenge themselves and their growth in the game throughout the age groups, but perhaps don't want soccer to be their only focus. So maybe they're doing an additional school-based sport, or maybe they're doing an additional school-based or community-based activity, whether that's service or music or any of the myriad of things that kids love and should be engaged in. The Premier program is intended to really put them in a great developmental environment, but allow them to continue to explore other things in addition to soccer.
Awesome. And the other thing I'll add on that is, for our Warren County families, although our structure may be changing, our commitment to player development has not changed. And if there are players in our Premier programming who are seeking a bit more or are bubbling up in their environment and need a bit more challenge, that's where the relationships between our coaches in the Premier program, as well as our Academy program, can provide additional opportunities for players to guest train up, possibly guest play up. Again, our commitment to player development doesn't change because of our program structure.
Yeah, Lindsay, I support that 100%. And as you know, the intent will be monthly coaching meetings with me as the program director. And that's going to be one of the primary discussions is, how are the players on your team doing? Who needs more challenge? And potentially the reality is maybe who needs less challenge, because we want the players to be comfortable in their environment, but challenged to continue to grow.
And I think that's, Will, a good point to make as we kind of head into our Academy programming as well here in a few minutes. It's our job as coaches, as directors, to place players in the appropriate environment that meets their current skill set, mentality, work rate. Because if we put players in environments where the speed of play is a little too fast, maybe the athleticism is a little too quick, the game decisions are just maybe above where their current skill set is, that player will end up in survival mode. And anytime a player is in survival mode, the opportunity of us capturing that player and developing that player may be lost because they aren't having fun and aren't enjoying the game. And
Right.
we'll look at the opposite end. We want to place players in the environment that matches their speed, their game speed, their decision making, and their commitment level to the game. And if we aren't putting those players more at the top end in the appropriate environment, well, we're going to lose those players to boredom as well. So it is our job as directors, as coaches, to place players in the appropriate environment so we can continue to develop them, knowing that all players kind of develop at different rates. A player that is U12 today may look completely different by the time they're U15, U16. And we want to be able to capture them within our environment so we can continue to develop them based on our core principles and values, our curriculum, and the model we've established for developing all of our players. All right, so we'll move along here. Possibly, here we go. Competition calendar. I know Will has already kind of dove into this a little bit. Our high school age groups within the Premier program will start in November, December after high school seasons, with all of our U8 to U14 starting in August. That's the start of our fall season. Our winter training is open to our U8s to U12s. Will already mentioned the Center of Excellence. This is an off time for our Premier teams and players that are U13 and older. Great opportunity though to get involved with our Volta futsal program with consistent training and a competitive environment to keep elevating those players who are seeking more and wanting to continue to develop a little bit more through the winter months. And then our spring seasons will start sometime in March and end in May. Anything else to add there, Will?
No, I think I'm glad you brought up the Volta option, because I think it's something we've kind of slid through it. But if you're on the website, be sure to check out that Volta program. It's a fairly new King's Hammer Soccer Club program, but already doing a great job of developing continued learning and continued skill acquisition through futsal, which is a court-based indoor program. And so I would encourage all of you to check that out. And they'll be updating the offerings, locations, and times and things as we get closer to the fall.
Yeah, so locations for our outdoor season: McClure, YMCA, so still North is operating out of the Lebanon area. And I think Volta is actually mentioned in here, Will.
There we go.
So the Volta futsal programming will be coming out later this summer, and that is run by Tony Capurro, who is just an incredible soccer mind, and more importantly is extremely passionate about futsal. So great environment for those players to continue to develop during the winter months. I'll just kind of move through this. We do have some camp offerings in the North. So this is the first year we're offering camps. Both of those camps, one's in June, one's in July. Those can be found on the website. I encourage everyone to sign up for those. Our event series, we offer, the King's Hammer. We've been to a lot of these tournaments as well. That has a lot of great offerings that we'll continue to be a part of. And I am sorry, all right, sorry, I had to get back into the screen. But then our next steps from our Premier program are obviously moving into our Academy North program. I'll be the oversight for all of our Academy programming, our coaches, communication with our families, and continuing to instill, the identity that we're looking for, where we are in our developmental pathway. And then, Will, did you want to talk here just quickly about our curriculum? So this is something I've mentioned quite a bit in our correspondence with Warren County over the last couple months, is the value of working through a shared curriculum. And since we have Will in our in-house now as a director of coaching, he is the oversight for coaching education. And this curriculum has been a great work in progress for King's Hammer. And so I'll let Will kind of just chat about that a little bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. So as Lindsay alluded to, part of my role with King's Hammer is to continue to work on the coaching education piece, and then tie that in with player development and also parent support. Our technical director is Paul Nicholson, and he and I, along with our technical committee, work to put together a curriculum plan that takes all of those areas and the moments within the game, and then breaks them out so that we have a thoughtful, flowing plan that goes throughout the stages of development. So we're going to explore a topic, maybe it's an attacking topic this week, and then break it down so that it fits from the U8s all the way through to the U19s based on their areas of development, the levels of learning that we're trying to accomplish, and then age appropriate intent for each subject. And so there's a weekly plan that is also then built around to provide coaches at each level. So the 5v5, 7v7, 9v9, all the way through 11v11, and separated in the 11v11 based on their focus group that provides activities and session plans to the coaches, and then provides flexibility for each of those coaches to focus the topic on their team, because every team is different, just like each player is different in their level of engagement, their development, their learning styles are all a little bit different. But the curriculum is designed to really ensure that every player, regardless of whether they're academy, they're premier, even the little lions work from a club developed curriculum that provides the intent of moving the players through the various needs that will get them a foundation of moving through the sport in the right direction, and intent on ensuring that they're getting the principles and the play that allows them to grow, and not, as Lindsay mentioned previously, that they're not missing some of those foundation steps along the pathway that denies them the ability to really be successful when they get further up the ladder. So it's really nice that the coaches, again, we utilize play metrics for this so that we can stay connected with all the coaches throughout the Kings geographic area, and everyone from Versailles all the way up to Lebanon is provided the same content, the same support, and the same opportunities to develop both their players and their team in an appropriate style and pathway.
And again, the importance of that shared curriculum is we are preparing players to eventually come together, perhaps. You know, our top level players are moving into an academy program. We need shared ideas and concepts and not reteach shared or concepts that should have been shared in our pathway. Players moving from the North and South into an ECNL program. So again, there's a true pathway throughout the entire club that is focused on developing every single player to their maximum potential. Moving into, again, the academy program, we start at the U11 age group. So for those who are new to the club and navigating the website, if you are looking for the academy specific program, it starts at U11. All of our premier programming starts at U11 to U10. So the Academy North will have a professional coach, just like the premier programs. The fees cover our registration, you know, multiple league fees depending on the team. They may have a local league that they're participating in, say OSSL, and depending on the team, they may also be participating in the Great Lakes Conference. So that is all going to be team-based. You know, fees cover the coaches' expenses, training and game expenses. And Will, I don't think this is something we've mentioned yet. All of our fees are all inclusive. So there's no additional fees on top of the fees you see online. There are no team fees associated with the current player fees. It is all inclusive.
Correct.
You know, the North program will attend 4 to 5 tournaments, again, depending on age. Some of those may be locally, and for other teams, they may be more regionally and nationally, depending on the team. We are using a VO camera system, which is a great resource for our coaches to teach players, draw out things on video that it's hard to teach possibly within the context of the game, being in the middle of a training session, middle of a game. You know, our coaches will be able to utilize that system. And that can also be a great resource for clipping film and individual player moments for recruiting highlights. Winter training is included in that. All of our academy teams will train twice a week in the winter. And I will mention they're also training 3 days a week in season, so the fall and the spring seasons. EPT training is a unique night where we kind of bring together all of the different opportunities and resources to player development, and having a outsourced staff member from an exercise science field coming in and working with our players on mobility exercises, different body weight exercises, paired with technical training, paired with teaching within the context of the game. So that will be included in our 3 nights a week. Will already talked about the play metrics, technique, sports recruits. There will be college recruitment guidance and seminars for our U15 and older. And then last but not least is this great resource in having free tickets to watch our USL 2 team play. Anything else to add to that, Will?
No, I think you covered it, really well. So, and again, I think that there's great value in the cost of the program is, as you said, it's all inclusive, and I think you get there's a lot of value for the money that you're spending.
All right, so next up here, let's see, I think it just goes through, our competition calendar is starting in August. Our older high school age teams will, pick up right after their high school seasons based on tournaments and showcases they may be a part of. Then they have a brief, month, 5 weeks off in December into January, and then we'll pick up with our winter training, and then the spring season kicks off in March as well. Training and game facilities, most of our training and games are going to be operating outside of or within the Warren County Sports Park, and then wall-to-wall training in the winter time. Obviously, there's lots of other resources we may tap into and continue to tap into with turf facilities, but the primary location for our academy programming will be at Warren County Sports Park. Already mentioned Volta Futsal, but this is open to every player in the club, a great additional resource for the winter months. And it is a la carte. So those who want additional programming can pay for additional programming instead of it being a part of the fee. And maybe some players don't want to take part in Volta Futsal. I will also add here, because this is something we've talked to our current members about, as a staff, as a club, we support multi-sport athletes, whether that is in the academy program, in the premier program. I will say in the academy program, though, we are hoping that soccer still continues to be a priority. For those players who wish to kind of just detach from soccer during the winter months or during the spring months, maybe the premier level programming is better for your son or daughter and also matches a price point that is better for your family. So I want to be clear that we still support multi-sport athletes, especially at younger ages, with the understanding in the academy that one, parents are communicating early and often with their coaches about conflicts, whether that's with training, whether that's with games. If it happens to be with training, maybe we're able to plug a player into a different age group for the night to kind of solve things there. But communication will be key. And two, an understanding that soccer is still somewhat of a priority when you are making decisions between different sports. Am I being clear with that, Will?
Yeah, I think that was really well stated.
Thank you. All right. So I think we've kind of covered everything here in both our premier and our academy programming. I'm going to hit pause very quickly on this video, and Will and I are just going to chat to see if there's anything else we want to make sure we cover so we don't have to resend out another video. So just give us a moment here and we'll be right back on. All right, so the last thing we want to talk through is just next steps. So next steps are obviously tryout registrations. So you're going to go back to kingshammer.com. We're going to suggest that if you are interested in the academy program, competing at that level, the time commitment of the level, the price point of that level, apply and register for Academy North tryouts. Those will be the first tryouts we host in each age group, which is a little bit different than what we've done in the past with Warren County, where all of our tryouts were the exact same date. And we, from there, picked our teams. So you're gonna go to the Academy North, and then you can see tryouts. Our tryouts schedule is here on the left. And we hope that every family is able to attend both of these tryouts. If you aren't able to attend a tryout, please email me directly at Lindsay at kingshammer.com to let me know that you're not attending tryouts. Good news for current Warren County members, you've been training and playing within the club for the last year, and that's essentially a tryout, you know. So all of our coaches are going to have an understanding of where players are going to be placed at tryouts. So if you are unable to make it, please don't panic, but I do need to know that your son or daughter is not attending tryouts so we can make sure they are properly placed. So these are the Academy North tryout dates. And then from here, if your child, son or daughter isn't selected to the Academy, we ask that they then register for the Premier tryouts. There is no rollover from the Academy tryouts and those who aren't selected to Premier tryouts, because we are offering two distinct programs, and everyone who tries out for the Academy may not want to be a part of our Premier programming. So by registering for the Premier program, you are telling us that you would like your son or daughter to be identified and placed within the Premier program. Another thing I just want to mention is the question has come up of why do we have two separate tryouts? And in its simplest form, we want to give as much attention to each tryout to make sure we are placing players in the proper developmental environment. We have families within the club, we have families even outside the club who are only interested in the King's Hammer Academy program. So to mix all of that together wouldn't make sense for us. And it also is very taxing on our coaches to kind of to piece through those players who should be in the Academy level while also putting the same attention to those who are interested in the Premier program. So again, we just want to invest as much time and effort in each unique environment so we can do right by every player and formulate the most balanced competitive teams at each age group and obviously each program. Anything you want to add to that, Will? And then I'll go back to the Premier tryouts as you chat.
No, I think you hit it. The one thing I would just add to that is that they don't have to wait. If you think that you would be interested in participating in the Premier tryouts or being considered for a Premier program spot, but you also want to test yourself and challenge yourself in the Academy tryouts, you can register for both right away. You don't have to wait until after the Academy announcements for team placement come out and then register for the Premier tryout. So you can register for both simultaneously if you want to be considered for one or the other, depending on how your placement is conducted. So, but you would still need to attend at least one, and as Lindsay indicated, ideally you would attend both of the North Premier tryouts should you not be selected for an Academy thing. And as Lindsay also indicated, if you're not able to make it, be sure to send me an email for the Premier program at Wil at kingshammer.com.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, Will. Again, if you're interested in both programs, go ahead and sign up for both programs. If you're only interested in the Premier program, there is no need to come to the Academy tryouts. Absolutely no need. Just register for the Premier program. So back to the main screen. If you go under programs, you'll go down in the north. On the left, you will find the tryout dates and times for our North programs. And then that big register now will take you to Demisphere and allow you to register your son or daughter for the Premier tryouts. So this is the Premier schedule. Again, this is found online. I will resend these out prior to tryouts so everybody's kind of on the same page and players are showing up at the right time, right location.
And Lindsay, the link to this is also inside the booklet. So if you're out there and you're looking through the booklet with us right now, or later you jump into it, these links to the tryouts are also inside the booklet as well.
Great. So, in closing, hopefully this continued to just shed some light on our programming, put a face to the names, especially with Will, who's joining our Premier program. at Tryouts and heading into the fall. And to all of our Warren County families, thank you for supporting this transition. We know that change can be hard at times. We, though, as soccer professionals and people who want to create the best environments and do right by every player within our programming, the reasons why we chose to partner with King's Hammer have not wavered since the moment we met with King's Hammer leadership. So we are eager and excited for Tryouts. We're eager and excited to move forward as King's Hammer North. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to me, Lindsay with an A at kingshammer.com, Wil with one L at kingshammer.com, and we look forward to seeing your son or daughter at Tryouts.